8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Soundhi Tavam. The Criminal Investigation Department CID has launched an investigation into the illegal release of water from the Randenigala and Ranthambhe reservoirs. The NTMI to remain closed on Fridays and Saturdays. A diesel shipment due mid-July and petrol by July 22nd. Sri Lanka's economy contracts by 1.6% in the first quarter of 2022. It is emphasized that the officials and the political hierarchy should not leave room for the present economic crisis to get worse and lead to a human catastrophe. The Foreign Ministry restricts consular services to only 3 days a week. The DMT to provide limited services due to fuel shortage. In news overseas, January 6th hearings, ex-aide paints devastating picture of Trump. And in sports, Niroshan Dikwala's counter-attacking half-century and Ramesh Mendis's double strike keep Sri Lanka in the contest. The Nuwara District Secretary Nandana Galagoda says the officials and the political hierarchy should not leave room for the present economic crisis to get worse and lead to human catastrophe. This difficult situation could be overcome by a joint effort by the government and the general public. The district secretary made his observations with regard to the people standing in the fuel queue and the rise in the vegetable prices due to the fuel crisis. The fuel should be provided only to essential services, Mr. Galagoda added. The National Transport Medical Institute, MTMI, says its services are not provided on Fridays and Saturdays until further notice. According to its director, Dr. Savindra Gamage, the NTMI will limit services from this week, 1st and 2nd of July. However, the general public can schedule an appointment by contacting 225 or 1225, visiting the Institute's official website www.ntmi.lk or via e-channeling on any day except Fridays and Saturdays. The Criminal Investigation Department CID has launched an investigation into the illegal release of water from the Randenigala and Ranthambhe reservoirs without using them to generate power during a power crisis in the country. The investigation is being carried out following a complaint lodged with the Inspector General of Police IGP by the chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board. A special police team of the CID has visited the Randenigala and Ranthambhe reservoirs and recorded statements from 17 officers in charge of the reservoirs. The CID has observed that this crime had taken place from 12 noon on June 8th to 2 p.m. on June 9th. It has been revealed to the CID that the water was released in vain through a canal that supplies water to the farmlands without using it to generate electricity through hydropower turbines. Investigations by the CID have revealed that the CEB had to supplement the national power grid with purchase of electricity from 2 private thermal power plants on their day due to the wasted release of water to generate electricity. It is stated that the amount paid to the relevant private power plants for this period is 162 million rupees. According to the CID, further investigations are underway to determine whether the release of water and the supply of electricity from private power plants was done for the personal benefit of a group of CEB officials. The Prime Minister's advisor Sagala Ratnayaka today said that a diesel shipment containing 30,000 metric tons was due between July 11th and 15th, and a petrol shipment from India was due by July 22nd, although the government is trying to source a petrol shipment by July 10th. Speaking at a media discussion at the Prime Minister's office, he said only 11,000 metric tons of diesel, 30,000 metric tons of furnace oil, and 800 metric tons of jet fuel and 5,000 metric tons of petrol are available at the CPC storages. He said that a petrol shipment is expected to arrive by July 22nd from India, and no permanent order has been placed before that. However, he said the CPC has strong connections with a network of suppliers around the world, and they were trying to secure a shipment before that. He elaborated that there was a high demand for fuel in the international market, and it was one reason for the delay in securing a new shipment. He said that 38,000 metric tons of diesel will be received between July 11th and 15th. Therefore, the existing diesel stocks will only be available for essential services until the new shipment reaches the country. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The economy of Sri Lanka contracted by 1.6% in the first quarter of the year 2022, the Department of Census and Statistics says. In a press release, the DCS said, quote, the year-on-year gross domestic product GDP growth rate for the first quarter of the year 2022 is estimated as negative 1.6%, which indicated a considerable contraction of the economy compared to the first quarter of 2021, unquote. At the beginning of 2022, the Sri Lankan economy began to improve slowly, following a difficult period of time due to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021, with new expectations of economic recovery, the statement read further. However, unfortunately, within the first quarter of 2022, the economic growth rate was reported to slow down compared to the first quarter of 2021 as a result of the adverse effects of some factors, such as inflation, foreign exchange devaluation and dollar deficit, the DCS explained. The shortage of chemical fertilizers during this period had a severe impact on agriculture production, and especially the production of rice declined significantly. Thus, the agricultural economy recorded the highest decline in this quarter since the year 2015. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has limited the services provided by its Consular Affairs Division to 3 days a week due to the prevailing situation in the country. Accordingly, consular services will be provided to the public only on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays with effect from tomorrow, June 30th, until July 10th, the Foreign Ministry said in a statement. The same working arrangements will also apply to the regional consular offices in Jaffna, Matara, Kandy, Trincomalee and Kurunegala, it read further. For any urgency, the general public is requested to contact via the email addresses mentioned below. Consular Affairs Division Colombo, consular@mfa.gov.lk. Regional Consular Office Jaffna, jaffna.consular@mfa.gov.lk. Regional Consular Office Matara, matara.consular@mfa.gov.lk. Regional Consular Office Kandy, kandy.consular@mfa.gov.lk. Regional Consular Office Trincomalee, trincomalee.consular@mfa.gov.lk. Regional Consular Office Kurunegala, kurunegala.consular@mfa.gov.lk. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalopa Vedamahatma.
The Department of Motor Traffic DMT will be closed on Thursdays and Fridays due to the prevailing fuel shortages and transportation issues, the Commissioner General of Motor Traffic Sumit Alakon says. However, the Verahara Driving Licence Office as well as the district officers in Gampaha and Anuradhapura will remain closed on Thursdays for driving licence renewals only for clients who have made online appointments, he further said, issuing a media release. The clients who have made appointments for the 1st of July for matters regarding driving licenses can visit the DMT on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays during morning hours. In such cases of visits, it is mandatory to produce the SMS they received mentioning the time reservation for the appointment, the notice read further. For any clarification regarding the services provided by the DMT, the general public can contact the following telephone numbers between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on weekdays. For vehicle registration and transfers, 07076777877. That's 07076777877. For driving licenses, 07076777977. That's 07076777977. The DMT further requests the general public to send their inquiries via WhatsApp, Viber or SMS to the aforementioned numbers and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalopa Vedamahatma.
On to Watchlight, the health officials warn that dengue fever is on the rise due to the prevailing rainy weather conditions in some parts of the country. Sri Lanka is seeing a rapid rise in the cases of its age-old enemy dengue fever once again, the National Dengue Control Unit says. Reportedly, the island has confirmed 733 dengue patients within the past few weeks. Sri Lanka, meanwhile, recorded 12,034 dengue patients in the days that have elapsed this year so far. The health officials request the public to keep their home front clean. The officials also request the school administrations to keep the school premises clean and identify and destroy possible dengue breeding places of the dengue mosquito. That came to in Watchlight and on to a bulletin of world news making headlines tonight. January 6th hearings. Ex-aide paints devastating picture of Trump. Ukraine war, Putin's cousin among inner circle hit by the new UK sanctions. And Bruce's Beach returned to family nearly a century after seizure. Up until now, the Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol was missing a key piece of the puzzle, the testimony of someone who could offer a first-hand account of the situation in the White House in the hours before and during the attack. Cassidy Hutchison, a former top aide to the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, filled in the blanks, and she has painted a devastating picture, including an allegation which Trump denies, that he tried to grab the steering wheel of the car he was travelling in and wrestled with a Secret Service officer in an attempt to divert his motorcade to the Capitol, where his supporters were gathering. The UK has announced its newest wave of sanctions targeting Vladimir Putin's inner circle, including his cousin. The Foreign Office said Anna Silileva, Putin's cousin and president of a major mining firm, has been sanctioned. Vladimir Putin, Russia's second richest man and key supporter of Putin's regime, was also sanctioned on Wednesday due to the war in Ukraine. A prime beachfront resort seized from its black owners nearly 100 years ago has been returned to their descendants by officials in Los Angeles. Bruce's Beach was purchased in 1912 to create a beach resort for black people at a time of racial segregation in Southern California. Located in the desirable city of Manhattan Beach, it was forcibly taken by the local council in 1924. But on Tuesday, Los Angeles officials voted to return the land to the family. And back to the headlines of the world news. January 6th hearings. Ex-aide paints devastating picture of Trump. Ukraine war. Putin's cousin among inner circle hit by new UK sanctions. And Bruce's Beach returned to family nearly a century after seizure. That concludes this bulletin of world news and on to development news. The Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, SEC, the Colombo Stock Exchange, CSE, and the CFA Society Sri Lanka have entered into a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, to further strengthen environmental, social and governance ESG focus in the Sri Lankan capital market. The MOU will enable the institutions to jointly deliver initiatives focused on educating local investors on ESG and fostering effective ESG practices and communications by listed companies. Furthermore, the MOU will also pave the way for cooperation in improving ESG-related know-how of the local market practitioners, encouraging the adoption of the CFA Institute's global ESG disclosure standards for investment products and the introduction of ESG-related new products, standards and regulations. That concludes development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Nathan Lyon rode again in goal, returning to the site where it all began for him in 2011 to claim his 20th Test 5-wicket haul and give Australia a slight edge on a chaotic first day of the first Test against Sri Lanka. Lyon claimed 5 for 90 as Sri Lanka were bowled out for 212 after winning a crucial toss on a surface that spun sharply and had balls going through the top within the first hour of play. Usman Khawaja then made a fortuitous unbeaten 47 to guide Australia to stumps 3 down in a frantic final hour where Ramesh Mendisu claimed 2 wickets and Stephen Smith was run out after a mix-up. Niroshan Dickwella earlier made a pulsating 58 to top score for Sri Lanka, but missed 2 difficult stumping chances later on, including one off Khawaja. Scores: Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bat first. Accordingly, Sri Lanka were bowled out for 212 in their first innings. In reply, Australia were 98 for 3 at stumps on the first day of the first test being played at the Galle International Stadium. That's sports news. We'll look at business news next.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Sri Lanka United Business Alliance SLUBA met Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe last week and requested his mediation towards solving some of the raging issues in the SME sector. Executive Committee member of the SLUBA, Tanya Abeyasundara, said that they explained to the PM the hardships they face and requested the government to give the sector a moratorium for a minimum period of 1 year to all sectors for loan and lease repayments. They also requested and sought the PM's assistance to freeze all interest components for that period and restructured from that due date. That's business news. We look at economic news next.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The logic behind the import substitution argument is impeccable and strong. Nevertheless, economists who promote the import substitution idea have ignored the political, economic aspects of its implementation, noting that the implementation of import substitution strategy requires a strong government. Import substitution would not work until industries were carefully selected and at the same time incentives are given in a time-bound fashion. Professor Premachandra Adukorala told a webinar held under the theme, Is Import Substitution Good for Our Economy? The event was organised by Advocata Institute. In the 1950s, Professor Adukorala said when the present-day developing countries emerged as independent nations from the colonial era and production structure or the export structure of these countries are dominated by primary products. And that's economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
On to the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western and Sabargama provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Uva province during the afternoon or night. Fairly strong winds, about 50 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills, western and southern provinces. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the International Weather Forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was cloudy with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was observed to be around 32 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 27 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 27 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index AQI is 18, which is fair weather air conditions in Colombo. The air quality is ideal for most individuals who enjoy normal outdoor activities. And to conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The Criminal Investigations Department CID has launched an investigation into the illegal release of water from the Randenigala and Ranthambore reservoirs. The NTMI to remain closed on Fridays and Saturdays. A diesel shipment due mid-July and petrol by July 22nd. Sri Lanka's economy contracts by 1.6% in the first quarter of 2022. It is emphasized that the officials and the political hierarchy should not leave room for the present economic crisis to get worse and lead to a human catastrophe. Foreign Ministry restricts consular services to only 3 days a week. The DMT to provide limited services due to fuel shortage. January 6th hearings, X8 paints devastating picture of Trump. And Niroshan Dikwala's counter-attacking half-century and Ramesh Mendis's double strike keeps Sri Lanka in the contest. And with that, we conclude tonight's news broadcast. And now it's back to your hostess, Chandima Veerakun, to take you to the end of transmission. All yours, Chandima.